Wanna feel old? This game will be 10 years old soon. Who doesn't love some good old parkour and killing people? In a game, I mean. Who do you think I am? I know one person that loves doing that. Altair ibn La'ahat. Our main protagonist. Oh well, the main protagonist is Desmond Miles. But really, it's Altair. But really, it's Desmond. Okay, let me explain. You play as Desmond, who's been captured by Abstergo Industries, a big mean company that wants him for his DNA. You see, as it turns out, your DNA stores memories of your ancestors, at least it does in this game. And Abstergo has made a machine that lets you view and relive these memories. Capturing Desmond allows them to take a look into the life of Altair, which they need to find some kind of treasure. Of course it can't be that easy, and it seems like Desmond can't jump into the memory needed right away. So we need to go back to a point where Desmond can relive, which puts us at the beginning of our game. You are now Altair, Master Assassin, on a mission to retrieve some Templar treasure. As fate would have it, Altair is a cocky little bitch and he screws up the mission, which leads to a whole lot of trouble. As punishment for fucking up this mission so much, Altair gets stripped of all his ranks as an assassin. No longer is he a Master Assassin, he's a novice now. And that also means... oh god, we're gonna lose all our weapons, aren't we? Wait, we also lost our health? You see, I understand why developers do this, I really do. But that doesn't mean I like it anymore. And in this game specifically, I'm actually annoyed by it. The loss of weapons makes sense, right? Because he's a novice and you wouldn't trust a novice with these deadly weapons. But your health in this game isn't actually health. It's a synchronization bar, which in story context is supposed to show you how close you're reliving the memories of your ancestor. And of course you get desynced when you die because, well, Altair didn't die in that point in time, so that's a pretty big difference with the way you did it. But then how does gaining a new rank increase this counter? How does anything story related affect this counter at all? That's exactly how Altair did it. So why? It's also possible to get some extra sync bars by doing optional objectives like climbing high buildings, saving citizens, or collecting flags which are scattered around the cities you visit. You see, it makes sense that these would increase your sync bar, since collecting those would be reliving memories as close as possible to Altair. With that out of the way, you're a novice again, and now you need to regain your ranks. To do this, you need to kill 9 men. This is the main objective of the game. You visit Damascus, Acre and Jerusalem. First, going to each city, you need to go there through an open world-ish overworld, which feels really impressive and makes you feel kinda small in this huge world you're in. Something that kinda fits well with the story if you ask me. Then when you arrive in the city, you need to go to the Assassin's Bureau and get assigned your mission. Now it's time to head out and do some investigation. There's plenty of investigation missions, but still, you have to do this routine 9 times, and it gets kinda old after a couple of times. You should feel like an assassin which adapts to its surroundings, not like a World of Warcraft player doing his daily quests. After having paid a visit to each city, the game actually gets more difficult. Gods will now be more suspicious and aggro quicker. That sounds logical, and it is, but it doesn't feel that way. There doesn't seem to be any sort of consistency as to when they aggro. Sometimes you can be right in front of them in a place where you shouldn't be, like, I don't know, the rooftops. And they'll only tell you to leave this place, and then sometimes they will aggro just because you run past them too closely. This is especially true in the Kingdom Overworld area. Then again, after visiting each city once, you can fast travel to the city you need to be in. And not even just that to the city, but to the bureau itself, which saves you a lot of trouble since you have to come back to each city a number of times. As you kill each of these men, you start to find out that they're not necessarily evil, they just see the world differently than you do. After each kill, you consult your master, Al-Mualim, and have a little discussion about life and the values different people hold. This is a great parallel to Desmond and Dr. Warren Vidic, which is the person holding you hostage. They too have philosophical dialogues about what's right and wrong every morning when Desmond wakes up. There's no great evil, just 2 sides to a story. Then, when you're ready to assassinate your last target, the game takes a pretty big 180. Let me start by saying that the assassination itself is some great amount of bullshit. You have to fight your way through countless guards at once while also fighting your target. Lucky for you, these guards just stand around waiting attack one at a time, just so you can counter them easily. Isn't that nice of them? Yeah, let's make one thing really clear. This mission is a perfect example to show you why Assassin's Creed isn't and never has been a stealth game. Sure, there's stealth mechanics, but most of the time that's just so you have to run away and the game drags out longer. Most of the main assassinations you can't even do in total stealth. Well, a couple of them you could do in stealth, but the game is not made for you to do that. I think I managed to stealth assassinate 2 out of my 9 targets. A little thing that also annoyed me is that there's a hidden HP stat which isn't displayed like in later games, which, let's be honest, there's no reason not to show that. Immersion, you say? The game constantly reminds you that you're in a game by having this whole animist thing pushed in your face so much, so I think health bars are the least this game can do for me. Again, this becomes painfully obvious in the last assassination mission. After doing this mission, you find out you're not even fighting your target, which makes the most annoying mission in the game also not even have any kind of payoff at all. Now you go to chase your actual target, which you kill, and then he tells you you've missed one last person, Al-Mualim himself. This admittedly is a great plot twist, but it's not as strong as it could be because of the same plot twist you already had in that goddamn last mission. Well, you go and fight Al-Mualim, and then Abstergo finally has the maps it's wanted from you all this time. Oh, by the way, the Templars, so yeah, bad people. The story at its core has so many opportunities with exploring a philosophical grey area about freedom and peace, and it tries. It really does. But it's so surface level and so obvious that it becomes annoying. I get for commercial reasons that you want to make this kind of thing obvious so you can be more subtle in the sequels, because people will already know the way they should look at your narrative, but this is just downright artificial storytelling. Which brings me to the character of Altair. He starts this game as a bit of a bitch, but he turns into a wise master assassin by the end of it. And this again is mentioned so goddamn much by all the characters that it becomes annoying. The development itself is actually done very well, but the game just has to make sure you're picking up on this. People, let me tell you a little bit about storytelling and art. It's not horrible if people miss out on some details and backstory parts of your narrative. Even if they don't consciously know it, they will feel it in the way the story and the characters progress. Stop shoving exposition down everybody's throats. It's the first try, and yes, after this it does get better. I must admit, these problems are small problems and just flaws that make a great potential into just a good story, which is still more than some games out there. Talking about this being the first try, you can tell because this game plays so damn clunky coming back from later games in the franchise. You don't notice the improvements on the parkour that much playing from game to game, but then, going back to the very first game, you realize how much better the games play these days. The fact that you're limited to just a couple of weapons is one of those instances where you don't miss it the first time you're playing it, but once you've tasted more by playing Assassin's Creed 2 and onwards, you feel a bit empty going back to this game. Again, minor nitpicks mostly. The thing I do have an issue with is this game runs like ass, even on a modern PC. I know the PlayStation 3 versions runs without any problem, so it's down to optimization. The Steam page for this game even tells you need a dual-core processor to run this game. Bitch, I got 8 fucking cores and I can't even hit consistent 30 frames per second. Why am I playing here? Is it Assassin's Creed Unity? Even worse, the game just downright crashed on me once while playing it, and that should never, I repeat, never happen. Especially with a game that's 10 years old. Starting up the game, you need to select your save file with your mouse and keyboard. Your controller won't start working until after you've selected your save file. Why is that, Ubisoft? What could possibly be the reason behind that? I mean, I would understand if it was the other way around, because clearly this game was made for console and then ported to PC, but the one thing that resembles console gameplay on the PC, you couldn't even bother to get that to work properly. Let's end this on a positive note though. The game actually still looks pretty good. The models are a bit iffy every now and then, but they generally look good, and the texture is just downright good most of the time. There have been some mods that increase texture quality by quite a bit, but I haven't installed those for this playthrough because I want to show you the game bare bones, obviously. A really nice touch is that all the cities have different color tones too. Damascus is blue, Jerusalem is slightly greenish, and Acre is a warm golden yellowish color, which just helps to separate the cities from each other. Altogether, this game isn't a bad game by any means. It's just a bit of a rough start to what ended up being a pretty amazing franchise. at least up until a certain point. I ended up playing this game for roughly 9 hours, and that's mostly main story without any optional objectives. You could probably be somewhat faster because I do like to be as stealthy as I can, when I can, even though that's not the most efficient way of playing the game. It's on Steam, go get it, but don't spend too much time on it. Play the story and move on to Assassin's Creed 2. That game is so much better.